All right, so I don't know how this works yet at all, but I've been messing with it for, I don't know, a couple hours on the thing, I guess. I figured out some of the basics of it and figured I'd just do some video stuff because I put out a couple mess around videos with it, and I had a couple people ask me, certain things about it, and I figured, well, hell, while I'm learning it, I might as well show it to you guys too. So I turned it on, and just some background on it. I got a couple boards of Deluge sets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It came on it. I got it used, so it already had some stuff on it. I put it on the computer and basically cleaned off the drive, the SD card that's on it, and then I started loading it with other stuff. I put a bunch of my samples and stuff that I like on it. I got a pretty good stash brewing, so I just dropped all the drum samples that I like because I really like their drum presets. And then these synth sounds so far have been pretty wicked. I'm gonna mess around with making my own, but I don't know how yet. So until then, this is what I'm doing to learn the whole device. First and foremost, the easiest thing about it, right, is there's clip mode, which is just one loop that you're messing with of one set of sounds. It's either going to be a synth sound or a drum kit. And then there's song mode. Each one of these is tracks, right? So if you pick this one, in song mode, show you if something's on it. Pick this one, now you can decide whether it's going to be a synth, a kit, MIDI, which is going out to some external hardware or whatever. I plugged it into a few devices, and it's pretty fun to actually use as a sequencer. And then CV for all your modular stuff, and for stuff that's not going to have MIDI, your work stats and all that. That's all control voltage. So I've only really messed with synth, kit, and MIDI. I haven't done any control voltage yet. That's going to be a whole new experiment, which is going to be fun, but I haven't yet. So anyway, you're in song mode here. You pick the track. This is an empty one. There's nothing, no dots here. So I'm going to load this one up by just clicking any one of those, and it'll bring it to clip mode now. So this is just like the loop, right? And this usually starts with a synth or a kit. And I hope the audio is coming through pretty good on this because I got it rigged up separate. So, and you could change through the kits. You just scroll through them by loading, picking what you want, and then, you can roll through the kits that are on it already set up. So, or you can individually pick a pad and say, all right, I like that one. Hold down Shift, and then there's a browse button over here that will let you get into your folders with all your stuff. And the screen is like, they're quirky and everything. LEDs, great, like a bowling alley from the 80s, but it does suck. You have to learn to decode it. It's like watching Ancient Aliens or some shit. Like you're figuring out what the letters are going for. You can get through it, but whatever, a little OLED screen would have been all right too. So not the worst thing in the world, but it is kind of a pain in the butt. So back is just walking up through the file structure. So I'm going back up, back up, back up, back up. So now I'm at the root, which starts with artist for me, and then I made a separate folder on the drive for my curated drums. So I'll go in here and I'll pick, I want my kick folder, right? And this is sweet. They actually make it so you can see each of the sound waves. It's whatever. It's kind of cool for sample editing because you can move the points, and it's I don't know. It's kind of entertaining. That one, I like that one. So you press down on a select, and it loads it. So now I got it on that. Now let's see. Now it's time for a snare. Same thing. Shift, browse, and it takes me back to where I was at. I don't want that one. Go all the way back up to artist, back into my curated folder, and I go to my snare section. And I think I want to clap. I like claps. I got 1,000 more claps than any human needs are in this folder, but whatever. That one, I kind of like that one. We're going to mess with this one for a minute. Now, it's a little hard to finger drum here because with this recording going down, there's a delay from what I'm hearing from what is putting in, so I hit the button, I got a millisecond delay, which, I'll move the video around so you won't notice that after the fact, but for me to play it now ain't really all that hot. So I'm just going to program a beat in. This is like Fruity Loops style, old school Fruity Loops. That's really what I think this thing is. Like, I might get flamed for it, but this is basically like Fruity Loops in a box, kind of. So a lot of the moving parts from that dynamic are here, as far as being step sequence or forward. Tempo's up here. Let's bring this down into old man levels. All right. So other things worth noting, this is how you pick through the various samples that are in the kit that you're going through, right? These will mute for individual sounds within the clip, which you could also do in song mode. This is a mute for the whole thing, right? So when you got, if this is your drums and your bass and you have whatever lined up, you can mute each one of those. So yeah, anyway, when you go back into the clip, you just pick the track you want, it drops you back in. So there's that. And the one cool thing, it's weird, but it knows apparently what kicks are, right? So like I renamed, I don't know if this is like accurate or whatever, I didn't get to this part of the manual yet, which I am freaking reading the manual, I'm just not done with the thing. But people say if there's a BD in the file name, then the system knows for sure that it's a bass drum, and it will add it to the sidechain channel. So sidechain is built in by default, right? So my kick is getting pumped already to the sidechain, and anything that I bring in that I want to go and get affected by that kick, and I can just turn the sidechain up on that. So that's cool once you start layering levels, because we all sidechain stuff now. All this stuff is pretty accessible. This cutoff filter is right up front, so if I want to get in there and mess with the kick right up front, I can. Reverbs and delays and everything. It's pretty easy to understand. Like, these are the thing you pick. Up top, the gold button controls it. Down bottom, this gold button controls it. Done. And that's really the main thing with all the buttons in general. I mean, volume. This basically deals with your infrastructure and your menu selections. These are to control the top level of stuff, or bottom and top. This is to zoom in and out, which right now there's only 16 to go through, so I can't zoom in. But if I click it, press down on it and turn it, and I get my zoom. And this is zooming by what each one of these steps is, whether it's 64th, 32nd. There's a regular 16th at 16 patterns. It is what it is. If you hold down Shift and roll this over, it'll let you build a whole new bar. You keep going, and this keeps going as far as apparently you want. So right, I've got this. This gave me my 2 bars, and it's kind of cool the way this thing shuts down like a shutter to tell you where you're at. I go back there, and now I'm just back to my section. I don't have 2 bars. Say I want 2 bars though, and I want to copy what's here into the next to roll with it, then basically you just Shift and then press down on this, and now it just doubled my pattern. So I'm at 8th now. I go back up to 16th. So that's pattern part 1, pattern part 2. So you can make variations, right? Which is pretty sweet. All right. Another cool thing that I'll jump right into that, like, you have to hunt for this shit normally, but is I like being able to vary the music by itself. I think that's a really cool feature on anything, right? So the probabilities are really easy to access too. If you just want to take one of these, whatever pad you want to have a probability change, if you take the select and counterclockwise roll it down, it starts at 100. And you can back it off from that 100. So this hit's going to hit 100% of the time, 80% of the time, 55% of the time, however much you want this to potentially hit. See? Didn't hit. And I like making a bunch of ghost changes to everything. Like, I'll take some of these out, add a couple others that don't hit so often. And it basically runs your beat for you then. You ain't got to spend so much time making sure every change is laid out, because you've kind of got a lot of it here. I'll turn this one down. Now, if you turn it the other direction, right? Say I want this to not just hit at random intervals. I want this to hit 100% of the time, but I only want it to hit the 4th time through the iteration of a bar. Then you turn it clockwise the other way. 1 of 2, 1 of 3, 1 of 4. So we want 4 of 4. On the 4th iteration of a 4-bar loop, it's going to play that to, like, give you finish hit, right? It's 2. I think 2, 3. 4. There you go. So that's like the 2 probability programming components, which I think is pretty wicked. So next thing, what I'm doing is back into song mode, and I want another track to exist. All you got to do is click anywhere in the blank space and pick another track, and it jumps into that clip. Same thing, synth, kit, MIDI, pick whatever. So I'm going to just randomly pick one of the presets here to mess with. Some of these things are so hot that it's like really hard to not use them. Okay, so just saying we got this thing to start messing with. A couple things about this keyboard, right? Number one, this is how you go up and down it. As you can scroll up and down, and these are showing you your C's here as you go through it. This keyboard is not, it's only an 8-pad keyboard, right? So you're not getting all of the keys that would normally appear on your keyboard. So it's kind of a weird mechanism that they've got, is that you can change the scale that this produces. Now you can get to a whole keyboard if you click this keyboard button. I know, shocker, right? Like, and this is kind of a weird keyboard structure in and of itself. I don't know how to use it, but I'm learning. I know that when you trigger something, it's showing you, you know, where the others of that like kind are on this weird arrangement. I know it has a fancy name like Greek or something, but I don't, you know, remember what it is at the moment. My bad. I'll put it on a video someplace here. Anyway, that's there. But if you're just trying to use these pads, which you spend a lot of time with, not that it's tough to get to that or nothing, but so you could change the scale of this. You can do that by holding down the shift button and hitting the scale, and this will let you jump through the various scales that this can be, right? So major scale, minor scale, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, whatever. I don't even know all these other ones. I'm not a genius here. Lucretian. I mean, I know what they're called, but I don't freaking. I randomly pick them based on mood that I dig, right? So that's major. Get that into at least a minor here. Boop. Alright, so we want to have something longer that we're going to mess with. So I will hold the shift button down and scale this out. So now I've got 2 bars to play with, and this thing is going to walk at 16 unless I back it out to 8th. Now I can see where it's at on the whole thing, right? Then I'm going to hit record. And if you wanted to do this, if you're like playing and then you hit it while you're playing, if you press one of these and hold this and hit this, it'll resample through the mic and it'll overwrite your whatever you got on here already. So you got to make sure that this is lit up. You watch, if I hold down one of these, I'm not going to use, well, I can't, but if I hold this down, this will blink, right? When I'm holding the pad, I hit that, it'll start blinking. That's resample, it's not record. So I'm looking to just record. I'm going to not touch nothing. It's going to be solid red, and now it's going to record my MIDI information or drop my dots or whatever. Unrecord, whatever. Now, same thing, shift and click this. It's going to double that bad boy, and you could just go over, and we'll move this around. Now, I can't really access that, all of the, the movements until I zoom in to at least 16th and get over here. And now this gives me the opportunity to move things up and down. Showing all this, that's not because it's hit a bunch of times, it's because it's hit once. And that's, if you press this one and hold down, that shows you, that creates your length of how long you can make your hit last, right? So, zoom it back out. All right, back into song mode. Let's add some additional components just to have some more, action going on. I want this to be a kit because I want hi-hats now. Go down here. I'm going to pick the sample I'm looking for is going to be in my hi-hat folder. Again, you can set this up anyhow you want, any ways is comfortable for you. Not that I got to tell you that. It's yours. You know that. Back. stats. Now, there are some kits on here. You know what? I'll even just use them just so you don't have me going through my own sample stats. This is built-in kits. They're not bad. They're not bad at all. I mean, they work. Same thing, record. I don't even need to hit this. I could just hit a bunch of these, but whatever. You get it. Right? I mean, when it changes color, that's telling you that there's more in it that it's not showing you, I think. I mean, I'm not totally sure. It might be, I don't know. Yeah, so it's showing you that there's more locked in there, right? So it's showing you, hey, this is all white until you get here. They're yellow because there's something more in them. Because that, right now, we're set at 8th. So you're not seeing the in-between hits. When we switch it up to 16th, now it's going to show you, oh, there are holes there. So that was what it was trying to tell you about. Right? Oh, I missed one. Jesus. Oh, now I'm at 32nd. Oh, I made trap. I just made trap on accident. Oh, Jesus. It's all right. I can handle it. Go back out. So you can also, now that that's there, we can switch between the kits if you've already got kits saved on here. Now this is kind of neat too. If I want to go in here and edit this waveform, which you can only do on kits and samples, you can't do it on synths. If I hold this down and I hit waveform up here, hit stop, shift, waveform. Come on, buddy. I have to have that selected too. Waveform. Now it's going to give me the Italian flag. I mean, no, it's going to give me my loop. And when I can hit this to trigger it, but this is literally the waveform. They're showing it to you, right? So if I want to move the start point of this, I can. And you do it while you're in the sample, which I think is pretty wicked. I mean, everything can do this. I mean, at least the MPC Live and other things can do it too. But this is just a cool variation. So. Alright, and then red is just endpoint. So you got to click it when it's blinking, it's telling you which one you're using. I mean, yeah, you get it. So anyway, that changes it for every instance, every iteration that sample gets played. Now let's go back for a minute and get rid of, oh, you got to hit back out of it. And get rid of some of this hideous shit. Boop, 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 boop. Just zoom all the way out and just kill all this at once. And we will do this the civilized way and just zoom back in and do this. Now another thing is hi-hats, and this is already a kit because they choke each other, right? They're getting choked, and that's really easy to achieve. If you have this selected, right, anything that you want to put on a choke group so it chokes itself, you know, you pick the sample that you want, hold down shift, and there's a mode right here for polyphony. If you click the polyphony button, then this wheel will let you cycle through. It defaults to be auto. If you switch it to choke and let it go, anything else that's set to choke on this kit will be cut off by any instance of it hitting, right? So that closed will kill this and vice versa, because you never want them to hit at the same time. But you can do that with anything. You put anything on choke groups like that. It's really good for samples and stuff. If you're spreading it across the whole key group, then there's also just, you can make it a mono mode, so it automatically will do that. You don't have to put it in, you know, every choke group on its own, but whatever. So yeah, and pretty good start. Now we go back in here, we go back to this. This sucks. So we have to go in it's too whiny and annoying. So filters are on it. Mess with it. Or just eliminate it entirely and move on with your life, because you've had that relationship and it was fun while it lasted, but it's over now, and sometimes they need to get the fuck out of your house and take all their stuff with them. You know, it's just kind of, that's how it is with these presets. I mean, yeah. I mean, they got the name right, Boards of Deluge. I mean, it's pretty BOC right here, man. It's pretty dope, though. Alright, we'll just let that sit for a minute, and we'll go back, and now we're going to add some bass. I got to, we'll do it this way. I haven't got into all the programming for the synth yet, so I'm not really doing any of that for this video. I'll make another one later. But at least worth noting is that if you hold down the shift button and then hit synth, it'll create a brand new one. So flash, new, hit it again, new. So now it's an init patch, right? So we're just brand new. I didn't do what I was supposed to, which was this, right? And that makes it bigger. So now I've got 2 bars to work with, and I just started freeballing it for no reason, which didn't do anybody any good, and I just wasted my time and energy. So now I start over, right? Alright, that's the thing. We did a thing. Now, the problem with it is I don't like it. So, what we gotta do is shift it down a little bit. Alright, so where I blew it here was I held down, you're supposed to do is hold down the shift button and then click the scroll up and down button down and then turn it to transpose a clip, which is fine and all, but that's only if you have scale off, which I did not. I had scale on. If the scale mode's on, it moves all the clips and makes some different sounds. If you have, the scale off, then it doesn't, and that's where I blew it. So yeah, mental note, make sure do not do that, what I just did, because it blew everything, and then I had to go figure out why. I'll give a fuck, I'll give a fuck. Well, I fucked that one apart, and that's cool. So yeah, let's just call that one done, and start over. Go back into song mode, and we'll mute that whole track, and we go back over here, and I see song mode go away, and that's a good way for you to just like take that as a loss and just roll with your life and keep moving on. So that's over. Start over. New synth, says new, right? Boop, 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 boop. New. We're going to go down for a bunch. All right, now we'll start. All right, that's a thing. We started a thing, but I'm going to back this off a little bit. Now, again, I'm not going to get super hyper into the weeds, but what I just messed around with there was I had still had record going, So now it recorded the automation for this cutoff filter. So I had the cutoff going here, right? So yeah, whatever, you get it. I hit record and then I moved that around and now it's in there. So that's cool, right? So then shift, again, all this stuff is all the shifts. So if I go into my oscillator, I can go mess around with the oscillator type. Actually, that's just the level. I'm in the wrong thing. That's not it. Jesus. Guys, so this whole stretch here is telling you about what you're working with. So this is oscillator 1 from here to here. And then underneath it, it's telling you what each of those things are, what you're getting out of it, right? So the level of oscillator 1 is here. The type of oscillator 1 is here. So we want to change that. Right now it's a square wave. You can either make it a sine wave, a square wave. There's a ton. I'm not going to do this whole thing. This is its own little deep dive, right? So I just know I want it to be a sine wave for now. So we got that. Now we want to boost this level up a little bit more. I'm going to hit shift, get to that level. Oh, 50. It's maxed out. I can't. It says no. So we'll distort it instead. It's just how life works. 7/8. Shit. Alright. So for distortion, these are all the effects. Well, not all the effects, but these are some of the effects. Mostly all distortions. People tend to not dig these a whole lot. I've heard a lot of smack talk over the quality, and some of them do blow up pretty quickly. So we'll just hit one of them to mess with and turn it on. This is the saturation, which on a sine wave, I mean, I kind of dig, but that's just me. I like it. It's cool. Alright, so back out. Now we got into song mode, our unfortunate accident, and all the rest of all this is going. And you can do like live performance stuff with this. You can also tie these to groups, right? So all these are in the whatever blue group. You can change the color of this to indicate whether they should be grouped together, and if they are, only one of them can play at once, so you can have them alternate with different beat types or whatever. Big beef. And this whole thing, the whole time, this has been running on its varied, what's the word? So this is rolling along with its probability beat still this whole time in the background. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's what I got for today. It's this one. It's my first kind of video like this where I've, went through one of my pieces of gear, but I think I'm going to keep doing it more often because I got a ton of stuff here and it helps me learn it better too when I pull it out and have to explain what the hell I'm doing to other people. It's funny how that works.